You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Tony Groves, William Gibson, Chris Perez, and special guest Chris Scales. Hey guys.
How's it going, man?
Good evening.
Hello everybody.
Hey, Mike.
Hey. All right. Welcome to the podcast. Let's start with Chris Scales, your first time on. You've recently joined up with Team Tifosi, and we've been getting to know you a little bit. So let's go through our Q&A. Where did you get your start on iRacing, and how did you hear about it?
I actually signed up back in 2010. I've always been a big Earnhardt fan, and he's always been a big fan of iRacing. Dale Jr. has. So heard about it from him, signed up. My computer wouldn't run it. I built myself a new gaming rig just for iRacing, and then life kind of got in the way. And 8 years later, it was kind of weird actually. I have been burnt out on NASCAR games for probably better than a decade now because they've just been so terrible. And NASCAR Heat came and went. I didn't buy it because I just assumed it was garbage. And right before NASCAR Heat 2 came out, they had it on sale for $20. I bought it, and it's not good, but it wasn't a burning pile of garbage. I think they actually did pretty good with the money they probably had to make that game. But liked it enough that I bought 2 when it first came out, and raced a little bit online. It's a nightmare. It's absolutely terrible. But I got with a group of guys that raced together regularly, which is what I was looking for. And the problem was all these guys were running had wheels, and I didn't. I was running a controller, and I just couldn't quite keep up. So I went out and got myself a wheel. Couldn't get it to work right on NASCAR Heat. So I didn't think my computer would run iRacing. It's the same computer that I built 8 years ago for it, but it did and runs pretty well. And yeah, here I am now. Now I'm hooked. Don't play much of anything else.
All right. Well, welcome. How often are you racing these days, and what series do you normally run?
I'm on pretty much every night, and maybe that'll fade after the newness wears off, but just about every night. I've raced a ton on the weekends. I've been running all of the NASCAR series to get ready for NIS. Everything from the K&N cars all the way up through the A cars. Like I said, all fixed races. I haven't ran too many open races, and just started running a little bit of GRC. That's a blast, but I'm definitely going to be focused on the NASCAR stuff until I get all of those tracks for sure. Just for financial reasons, I want to make sure I have all those tracks for NIS before I start looking too deep into dirt and some of the the ovals or the road stuff.
Yeah, make sure you got your NIS tracks. All right, cool. What kind of equipment? What type of wheel and pedals do you have? How many monitors?
I have a Thrustmaster TX because I got it to use with the Xbox, and just playing on one monitor. The wheel's great. That Thrustmaster wheel is awesome. I probably won't be upgrading it anytime soon. The pedals that come with it are kind of junk. I like to upgrade those at some point, and then hopefully maybe this time next year I can get a Oculus and build me a new computer, because the one monitor setup is definitely not the way to go. But for somebody who's just learning the service, you're trying to get around the tracks like I am, it's just fine.
Right. All right, cool. What about leagues are hosted or just official, or what is it there?
I haven't done any league races, not many hosted races. I've pretty much just run the official fixed races that run, pretty much whatever's coming up is what I'll race. Anything NASCAR.
There you go. All right. What about third-party software? Obviously TeamSpeak, but anything else?
Yeah, Trading Paints, obviously. And then sim racing apps, I run it. I don't really use it. I have my hands full with just learning the tracks. But I like having it running in the background because you'll get the the countdown to your pits, and that was a big problem I was having when I was starting off, is just trying to find my pit sign.
Right. It's almost worth it just for that one feature, right?
Yeah, right. Like I said, I actually now when I load up the app, I can't even find the window. It loads up someplace off of my monitor screen, which is just fine because, like I said, I don't use it for that. I just use it for the pit road stuff.
All right. And you recently joined our team, Team Tifosi. Thank you. And we're kind of in a growing phase as we get ready for the 2018 season here. And then the final question, what's your most memorable iRacing moment?
Yeah, I've only been around for a couple months. There hasn't been there's been more heart-wrenching moments than good ones. But week 13, this last week 13 was my second week on iRacing, and I raced a couple of pickup cup races, and my first race in the A car at Talladega I won, and I didn't really appreciate it as much as I should have, even though I found out later it's unofficial and didn't really count for much. But it is really hard to win on here, and I wish I would have appreciated it more a month ago, because there hasn't been any wins
wins are
since.
hard. Yeah, winning is real hard no matter what series it is. And in fact, you got your first dirt road win with me the other night. You won the consolation race, I believe.
Yeah, I was the one out of the four guys that went off track least, I guess.
Well, a win is a win is a win.
That's right.
All right. Well, I was happy to see you break through there and watch you get that first dirt road win in GRC. We were running a little bit of that. That was pretty fun. In fact, we got to race together, but you couldn't quite keep up with me, it seemed like.
No, I noticed that when you were laughing at me.
Well, yeah, you got to survive that first lap. That is always a trick. Looking at your profile, your stats, winning percentage 0.4. You have that one win in the oval. 0.4 is your winning percentage, so you need to pick up there. I will certainly help you get some wins in NIS this year to pad that number a little bit. But the best number you got is the top 5 percentage, 12.9, which is pretty good. That means you finish in the top 5, 12% of all your oval races. So good job.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
All right.
I race a ton. I don't do a whole lot of practice. All my practice is on the racetrack. I actually haven't looked at how many races I've run, but yeah, I would probably my stats could probably be a little bit better if I would probably spend a little bit more time on the track before jumping into races. But I think I'd rather learn just from watching the fast guys.
Yeah, consistency is what it's all about. I mean, and you're not kidding. You have a lot of races. You're 2018. Now remember, we're still in January, okay? You have 5,661 laps so far.
Yeah, I think my wife might think I have a problem. It might be an addiction.
Well, that's okay. All right. Well, cool. Welcome. Let's get into racing results and let's talk series. We got the NASCAR iRacing series is in hiatus. We got the Daytona 500 coming up soon. Boy, I can't wait for that. Road to Pro is tonight, Dover, A-Car. I did some laps earlier today to get some practice. We do have an open set. I couldn't seem to run it without wrecking, so I think I'm going to be running fixed. I don't know if any of you guys are running tonight.
No, not tonight.
No, I'm staying away from Dover. I can't afford to lose there the way I've been at these short tracks lately.
All right. Yeah, it is hard. My initial impression. Now remember, the car has changed since the last time I've been at Dover, and if you get out of the gas even a little bit, it upsets the car so much that when you get back to the gas, the thing's coming around. And what I learned in practice is you better not be getting out of the gas at all or you will wreck. And they never drove like that in the past. I mean, it's really hard to drive. And even coming off pit road, just coming up through the gears, it's real easy to spin that car.
Yeah, that's one of my worst tracks. Just avoid that one.
Yeah, I
cer-
raced there a ton last week, and I think I'm just about fed up with Dover. I'm much happier with Iowa.
Yeah, this is a 200 lap race tonight, so half distance. I don't know. I'll probably run it, even though I'm going to be running fixed to see if I can survive. Let's get into results. Will, you got a first win. Tell us about the Pro Late model.
Yeah, I've been practicing a lot with setups for the C truck, and I was just getting tired of that, so I picked up a race. Only 7 cars, but picked up my first win in the Pro Late model. So now I have a win in the Limited, the Pro, and a second place in the Super Late model. So that's the next one to take off the list. But yeah, first win in the Pro, first win at Knoxville. It was a fun race, and I actually ran the fix set. I changed the rear gear a tiny bit, but we didn't have a single caution. So with 6 laps to go, I got the call saying I had 5 laps of fuel left. So
Ooh.
yeah, I was able to. It sputtered coming off of 4. I managed to save just enough. The track was slick enough I didn't have to stay in the throttle to keep the power down, and it sputtered coming off of 4 for the checkered, but I think the guy behind me was within a second the whole time. I'm pretty sure he was trying to save fuel as well, so it kind of worked in my favor. If he had 1 more gallon of fuel, he probably would have drove right past me, but tons of fun. It feels good to win another one, and I spend so much time away from dirt doing like the 24-hour, and I've been practicing, working on setups. To hop back in and get a win felt really good. It was a good confidence boost.
Heck yeah. Well, good job there. Let's talk league racing. I ran a league race Wednesday. Tony, it was you and me, and who else?
It would have been Justin Laird.
Justin, right. And I mean, we were not in position to win as we were kind of the race was winding down. It was kind of a green flag look to it. And I decided to make a pit call, and it wasn't a good call. It didn't work out for us, but there were a bunch of laps left. We decided to cut them in half and pit halfway through those set of laps and get fresh tires. And everyone else didn't. They stayed out and on the horrible, horrible tires and ran the fuel out and to get to the end. They had enough fuel to make it. We thought that the tires gave up enough that everyone was going to pit, or at least I thought so. And so sure enough, the 3 of us pitted, and it didn't work out. Dang.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those ones you kind of flip the coin. I mean, heck, if everybody did come in for a pit, it would have been a great strategy, and would have put you guys up front for that.
Well, and I don't think we lost anything by pitting. We ended up getting back to the same positions we were running before the pit. But still, I felt kind of bad making that call. It was probably a bad call.
Yeah, but just think of it this way: if you nailed, the call right every time, everybody would be bugging you for advice.
That's the idea. Well, so that was Wednesday. I've been running GRC in the evenings a little bit. I had one race where Daytona, coming up to the front stretch on the S's there, got flipped over the wall, the pit wall, and like literally barrel rolled over the wall, landed on the tires, and kept going, and didn't even lose but a quarter second. It was amazing little routine. Those cars are something else. They can roll and still drive.
Yeah, they're very durable.
And then Chris, I was running with you last night some GRC, and I had a good run going. I think it was 4th in the feature and got disconnected, lost internet somehow, and dang. And so finally got reconnected and then ran another race and won it. My second feature win in GRC. Had the pole, got the whole shot, and led every lap. And that's really the way you win these races. You got to be on that front row for the feature if you think you're going to win these things. Sometimes you can be on the second row and make it work, but
Yeah, Mike, you about had another one that same night. You just barely clipped that tire stack, but you were
I was
dominating
leading
those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that was right. I was leading a different one and blew it. Yeah, I barely clipped the tires and it went around on me. So Yeah, so I've been having fun with GRC. They were in Iowa today, this week, and I did run a couple Iowa races earlier, and I'm not as good there, but I can still pull top fives. I seem to make mistakes on the Joker lap a lot, but okay. Next is we want to do a shout out as a team to a guy named Chris Bull for all the great paints that he's been providing. Justin Laird has been working with Chris Bull to get paints for the 24-hour race, for all these dirt cars and different things we've been running. So thank you, Chris. Good work out there. So let's talk 24 hours. Leading up to the 24-hour race, we got word that once again, Ian Plash, iRacer, is going to run the entire 24 hours by himself to raise money in benefit for St. John's Children's Miracle Network Hospital. And last year he raised $900 for sick children in need of treatment. You could have participated by going to extralife.org and donating, for each lap that he completes. You get so much money and so forth. But I didn't hear how he finished. Did you guys hear of anyone else running solo for 24? I think maybe what's his name did it too. There was another guy.
I was too busy working, and when I wasn't in the car, didn't catch much of it.
Yeah, I think Jonathan Dicker is the other guy I think who ran it solo. But you do get disqualified if you do that. It is a team event. I think he's doing it just for the notoriety. Of course, every second was broadcast of the entire 24-hour race over at V8's online. That was quite a broadcast. I did tune in a few different times just to see what was going on in the top split. And who was there at the start? Was anybody there at the start? Apparently there were server issues. We had a couple guys. They're not here with us today, but apparently a lot of people couldn't connect to the server at the beginning of the race. The server got put back up. Everyone was able to connect and continue on. Not too many people affected. I mean, it sounded like most teams or most people were able to get back in the car by the start of the race, even though initially it didn't kick off well. Boy, it seems like we were doing good with the connection problems and stuff, guys, and now here's another big event and problems. I'm kind of worried about the Daytona 500.
I think they had over 3,000 entrants, so I think that's probably the biggest thing I think I've ever seen since I've been on the service. So hopefully they are prepared for that 500, knowing what numbers to kind of expect for those big events.
Yeah, Kevin Bobbitt put in the forums an apology. He said, obviously not the start to the morning we were hoping for. Our sincere apologies to anyone who was negatively impacted. Please know the staff has been all over this all morning, digging into logs and data to see what was going on. We have staff from multiple departments on standby for all big events. I don't have any more info to share presently. I'll leave that to the technical guys. Staff is continuing to monitor. We are not planning to restart the session or start another race at this point.
I don't know. To me, it just seems like this is it's too often on these big events that this happens. I mean, I know there's a lot of work they do to get this to where it is, but it just seems like these big events, they need better planning or something.
Yeah, they need to figure it out. That's for sure. As far as our team goes, we ran the Ferrari, and I think pretty early on in the race we did blow an engine. It took 41 minutes to repair. So that pretty much set us back. I got in much later in the race, and I had a blinking problem. I was running with you, Chris Perez, and we were trading off the car and whatnot. And I had a problem where I kept getting run into because I was blinking out. I had within 2 laps, I got ran into 3 different times. Now our car was down on speed, so I was always getting past, and it was like they couldn't even see me. In fact, I posted a video of where I got wrecked out, which caused 13 minutes required damage after gotten run over from behind as I approached the bus stop. You can clearly see in the video I'm right up against the wall, as far over as you can be, and the guy just runs right over me like I'm not even there, you know.
And see, on my end, it didn't even. I couldn't even find you. The ping and everything on the quality all looked good, but just I couldn't find you anywhere on the track, and it was weird.
Well, I certainly had connection problems for this race. It was like every hour and a half, if I didn't restart the sim, I was going to have this problem. And it happened 3 different times throughout the race where I had to restart the sim. Good thing that Chris was there to jump in the car when I had my problem. That's really smart that David, planned that, everybody, we have at least 2 people in the room at all times, and for those kind of situations, because that certainly paid off. As far as the finish of the race, we did come in 12th in class, 33rd overall. Our team was Joe McDonald, Will Gibson, Mike Ellis, Chris Perez, Mike Ducker, and Justin Laird. So shout out to those other guys that joined us to get it done.
Yeah, I just want to shout out David Flowers for putting that whole thing together. He went above and beyond to make sure everything was prepped and ready to go. Everyone knew what was going on, and I think if it wasn't for him, it'd probably been a big mess. So I just want to shout out to him, because that was probably one of the coolest things I think I've ever done in a sim. So
yeah, it's definitely a different experience if you haven't done it. And yeah, shout out to David. He did a fantastic job for his first time as team manager on an event like that. And you certainly do need a manager to kind of coordinate the schedule and herd the cats. And I gave him a few tips and tricks and pointers along the way, but he pretty much, handled it on his own and did a great job. So good job to Dave. All right, let's get into topics. Will, you're up.
yeah, so we want to do another quick team shout out for Matt Wallen. Hopefully I'm not pronouncing that wrong, for running our GRC bug paint. So thank you to him, and I'm going to throw that up as the thumbnail on the YouTube for this week's podcast.
So, Will, you're talking about you can go to Trading Paints and run iRacers Lounge podcast paints on your own car. Is that what happened?
Yeah, so I've been posting some up on my Trading Paints. If you search me by user, it's just Will Gibson. I believe I have the GRC bug, dirt sprint car winged. I have dirt midget and a Toyota Tundra Class C truck right now. I'll try to post some more of those up. But yeah, if you guys want to run the iRacers Lounge logo, kind of help us promote the podcast, feel free to run those paints. And if you actually send us those paints via email or through Facebook Messenger, I'll be more than glad to post those up in the video edit of the podcast.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was in a GRC race and look over on the grid and what? It's the iRacers Lounge podcast car. Who is that guy? And it's some guy I've never even seen before or even know. And but thank you, Matt Wallen, for running that. That's pretty cool. All right, Tony, what's next?
Well, it's like we got a windowed mode bug. It's crashing when you're using the windowed mode.
Not for
They're
everybody.
no, it doesn't look like it's for everybody. They've been doing a lot of back and forth, trying to hammer out the problem, and it they tell us it's they are working on a fix. I can't really go into it because I don't really understand.
I think it has to do with Windows 10 and the most recent update. I think it's called the Creators Edition. And if you have that and you run Windows mode, you could be affected by this, but they are working on a fix.
Okay, yeah, they got into a little too much detail for my brain to understand.
All right, I'll pick up next. And talking about that fix, they announced Season 1, Patch 1 hot fix number 1 on January 18th. And then the release notes came out, and what they fixed was a critical issue where some track objects were falling out of the world and causing the sim to crash. So he's talking like cones and tires and stuff like that, falling through the ground and crash your sim. Yeah, so they fixed that. Dirt Midget car, they reverted the changes to the steering system that they made last week back to where they were before. They reduced the maximum brake torque and reduced engine braking. They also undid the steering changes to the Dirt Sprint car non-winged. Dirt Street Stock season setups have been updated. Mercedes GT3, they fixed some engine sounds. And Linear Dirt, they fixed the setups for that. So just a little patch, and some more information from Steve Reese about why they undid the steering changes in the midget and the sprint car. He said the patch yesterday essentially reduced the rate at which the front wheels would steer and limited the max steer angle a bit. It seemed to be a bad move overall, so I put it back to the original release for the hot fix this morning. So it sounds like they tried it, they didn't like it, and put it back. And then it was announced the next day on the 19th, an emergency hot fix was announced with no prior notice, really. They kind of put it on iRacing about mid-morning, on Twitter, that they were doing it about mid-morning, and then they got it released. Now, part of when they announced it was released, they said, as an added bonus for our hot fix downtime this week, please feel free to use the iRacing test drive service all weekend long. So they had test drive open for the entire weekend. I took advantage of this Friday night. Did you guys try anything?
I didn't get a chance to. I got stuck working all weekend, so I was kind of bummed out. I wanted to do that.
Yeah, so basically the way it works is you go to testdrive.iracing.com. It's a completely different website. It's real simple. You have a drop-down selector for car and then track. And you can run cars that are not owned by you. And so I got to try the Dirt Sprint car for the first time, and I love it. Really hard to drive. I tried the 410 winged sprint car, and my reaction to that car is, holy cow, this thing is fast, fast, fast. And because of the downforce from the huge wing, you can just drive that thing through the corners at almost full speed. I mean, you're just barely lifting out of the throttle. It's almost flat. So you were right, Will. I really do like that car.
Yeah, that wing, I'm glad you got to try it. That wing definitely makes it a lot easier to drive than some of the other dirt cars. But once you start to get in a race and the track slicks off, you do kind of have to work that throttle just a little bit, but I'm glad you got to try that out. Did you happen to try the Dirt Midget at all?
Yeah, the Dirt Midget. Yeah, I love that thing, how the front end lifts up if you get on the throttle just right. And oh yeah, I had a lot of fun at Linear Dirt running that. And I think I got it up to speed pretty darn good, considering it was my first time in the car. I also ran the Lotus 49, and I don't know why I don't own this car, but I love the Lotus 49. I took it on California Speedway, and boy, this car is fast, but man, it doesn't have any downforce at all, so it doesn't turn worth beans, but boy, is it fast.
Yeah, I tested that car once, and I was like, man, these guys that drove this car in real life, I don't understand how they can do it.
It's literally an engine with 4 wheels, and there's really nothing else left to the car. There's, like you said, no protection, no cockpit of any kind. I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
And I can't remember, is that before they actually started putting seatbelts in cars? Because I remember at a point they didn't have seatbelts in the race cars.
It probably was. Yeah, that was one of the first. Okay, and then finally they announced the 2018 Season 1 Patch 1, And the change log there was they made a change to the joined session page due to widespread web browser change that created obstacles for members viewing race results immediately after exiting a session. So what I noticed this today, when the race is over and you hit continue, you used to get the pop-up with the results. Guess what? There's no pop-up anymore. It just shows you a button on the main page and you can click that and get the pop-up.
I kind of like it the new way. Just one less thing to close out.
Yeah, if you don't care about looking at the results, you don't have to look at them, right? Or close it.
Man, most of the time I do so bad I don't want to see it.
All right. Okay, Tony, you're up next.
Oh, the article from AutoWeek.com saying the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval has yet another new configuration. So they've looks like they've taken out a turn and one or two turns to try and knock some 10 to 15 seconds off the lap times. It was they had a bunch of guys testing it out: Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Daniel Hamrick, and Jamie McMurray. And once they got their input put in, it looks like they took some of that and applied it to yet another edition of the Roval. I think they got to be settling on this one though.
Yeah, I think this is the final configuration. They're going to run a March test, and the race is September 30th. I wanted to pipe in on this. This is a real world racing thing, but it's a huge opportunity for iRacing, in my opinion. The Cup teams are going to be clamoring for any type of advantage for this race, considering it's race 3 of the first round of the playoffs, and it's an elimination race. I was thinking if iRacing can work quickly with Charlotte Motor Speedway and NASCAR and get this thing scanned and build the track and get it released in the June build, the payoff would be big because, look, number one, iRacing is going to rescan it anyway. We already know that. And they plan on building it. It's just a matter of when, right? So let's do it sooner. Doing it sooner and getting it out by early summer gives the teams and drivers time to test it on iRacing and get some seat time and laps around the track. I'm sure it's going to be a huge advantage for other Cup drivers who don't do it, because this is a track that they're going to be going into that no one has ever raced on until September 30th. And so, as far as I know, it's a brand new configuration. So obviously there's no simulated track that people can drive in a simulator. Number 3, the publicity for iRacing over the summer, once fans see the Cup guys all getting on iRacing to prep for that playoff race, would surely drive membership. Number 4, I was thinking, well, guess what? The Cup teams may be already 2 steps ahead of my thinking. I'm probably not going to be surprised if I hear Chevrolet is already building this particular track layout for their sim.
Yeah, Mike, I was watching Martin Truex drive around this track yesterday, their finished product, and they're going to need something like iRacing to get ready for this thing. It looks like a nightmare. The chicane they're talking about on the backstretch, to me, just looks like some cones that the drivers had to kind of zigzag through, and then they'd go down into one of the turns has walls on both sides, and it's extremely narrow. I mean, I don't know that I've seen that in a NASCAR road course before. They're just so narrow, and there's just no place for the cars to go. I think they're going to need that extra practice.
Yeah, and they already scanned the road course. What was it, in November? Once after they had announced that they were going to do it, iRacing actually went there and scanned it, but then they've made more changes, as Tony already said, so now they got to go back again. Now, they still haven't put in like all the final touches, like the rumble strips, the permanent rumble strips and all that. So I don't know if iRacing has to wait for that, or can they scan it anyway and just, fudge those in? But man, this is a huge opportunity for iRacing. I hope they jump on it.
Yeah, and then could you imagine, say Kyle Larson gets in, wins the race, and says, "Hey, I thank iRacing for scanning this and having this ready to go for me," or any one of those drivers that use the service. That would be huge.
Huge
For
advantage, wouldn't
iRacing.
it, for that driver who has done laps on the track versus someone who hadn't?
That plus even for the engineers, like I know Scott Speed talked about him and his engineer drive in the sim, and they talk about like how the car handles. It's a huge advantage overall, and I hope they get it up quick. And whoever wins there or does well is able to speak towards iRacing and say like, "Hey, they were on top of it. It was a great tool for us," and that would definitely drive membership up. Especially because I'm surprised they made a race that's this important a new track. I don't think they've ever done anything like this. They've only ever done Sonoma and Watkins Glen, which are purpose-built road courses. And for it to be one of the playoff races in the chase is huge. So yeah, any advantage those teams can get, they're going to take advantage of, and I'm sure iRacing wants to take advantage of that, and I hope they do.
Yeah, I heard a podcast earlier this week with it was Fast Talk, produced by PRN, and they had CEO of SMI, Marcus Smith, as a guest, and he was talking about the evolution of this configuration, and he was the guy who actually came up with the idea to do this race on a road track, and he's the one making it happen. And he said that he intends to make this a world-class track, road facility that's, could be used for Formula One or any type of racing series, motocross, whatever. And he's already had a ton of interest from other series that are interested in running on this configuration. So they're really going to make it nice with lots of proper runoff and stuff.
Yeah, I'm personally a big fan of any time the Cup cars or any car for that matter goes to a track they're kind of not made to run. So some of the best races are at the road courses or short tracks because there's more car than track, and you really have to drive it. And I hope this is successful and we see more road courses in NASCAR. But as far when it comes to iRacing, I hope they are quick to adapt to this as well.
Yeah. All right, Will, what's next?
All right, so we actually had a post from, or a Twitter post from RaceSpot TV asking if anyone was interested in getting involved with iRacing commentary. RaceSpot TV is looking to add to its list of commentators, specifically those available in North America time zones. And they have a link to their website, RaceSpot TV/hiring, where you can actually go in, put in an application to commentate for them. So if anyone's interested in commentating, or it's definitely a great opportunity because I've watched a lot of their broadcasts and they are phenomenal, top quality, hands down.
Yeah, they're one of the big broadcasters. I'm surprised that they're just reaching out to the general public. They obviously need help. But man, if you're wanting to I used to do some commentary before I started this podcast, and it was a lot of fun. I had a huge, great time doing that. It was a blast, and if I wasn't so busy, I'd probably get involved again. But check it out, guys, if you want to check that out. It's a pretty cool opportunity.
Maybe we should just give Dale Jr. a call. If he used iRacing to help with his racing career, he could use this to practice for his broadcasting career next year. I'd love that.
Let's get Steve Letarte on there with him, too.
That'd be great.
All right, I got the next one. iRacing put out a video. Well, this is kind of out of order, but they did put out a video before the 24-hour race, a nice little promo video for the 24 hours. And boy, I was really impressed with, the videos that they're putting out recently are top notch. They got this music video kind of quality to them. The way they edit them, I can't really explain it, but it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm new to the service, but I would say definitely over like the last 2 months, the video quality has been well above and beyond anything I've really honestly ever seen.
Yeah, they got somebody new, obviously.
Yeah, going all the way back, I think one of the first ones I really kind of took notice on was when they announced Knoxville. And like they did the Dirt Midget and some of the GRC stuff, but everything after that, the Chili Bowl video, this one here, the quality has just, the editing is phenomenal. It's way better, and they're great videos. I almost wish they would put them out in like 2 weeks ahead of the race versus 1 week, just so we have some extra time to talk about them before the event starts.
Right. And we're a weekly podcast, obviously. So,
Yeah, the quality is there. I would just say if they put it out maybe a week or two sooner, it would definitely help drive some of these events. Just because it's exciting to watch that video, but the problem is the race is already over.
right.
No, something. I got a terrible memory, but I want to almost think that we talked about a position that they were hiring for doing
For
this
doing
kind
this,
of
yeah.
thing, and I don't think it was all that long ago. So if my memory serves me correct, they've obviously got the they obviously found the right guy to do the job.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make is they've hired that guy, and that guy is good. All right. What's next?
Well, a Twitter post from Steve Myers answering a question, and this one really bummed me out. The question was asking if we're, when are we getting the new Camaro Cup car? And I run the Chev car, so I'll be upgrading to the Camaro when we do get it. But Steve Myers posted that it is going to be a while, most likely the June build. We only just received the correct data and still need to do a reference trip to see the car. We plan on taking this opportunity to improve the overall model and not just make the changes. So there's a little silver lining in there, but it's I didn't expect to be able to start the NIS season with it, but I was hoping to be able to pick it up, shortly after the start. But I'm gonna have to wait a couple months. Bummer.
A lot of months. June is what he said. So,
Yeah, I was trying to make it sound less bad in my own brain.
It'll be here before you know it.
well, and it sounds like they're doing more. He says to improve the overall model, and so maybe they're going to look at tweaking, the body, so to speak, which is basically the same on all three cars. They just skin them differently. All right, what's next, Will?
All right, so we had another post from the GRC series, or Red Bull, on Twitter, and it shouts out Mitchell DeJong on top once again. But they actually caught me off guard with this one. Actually, I saw the tweet when I was at work. They started out with Graham Bolin and Garrett Lowe's battle stole the show, but it was Mitchell DeJong on top once again. So at first glance, actually, I thought somebody actually finally beat Mitchell DeJong, and the screenshot they used is two cars getting into it right over the jump. So they definitely caught my eye with it. But yeah, no, Mitchell DeJong wins another one.
He hasn't
So
lost yet.
Yeah, week in, week out, he gets it done. But they definitely have their clickbait on point, because I was just at work scrolling through Twitter on my phone, and it caught my eye. I'm like, oh wow, if they finally beat him. Opened the link, and I was like, oh no, he won again.
Yeah, a little headline play there but yeah, Mitchell DeJong, man, he's getting it done. All right, next up, a poll on the forums. It says, if there weren't enough numbers for an official race, should they pad the numbers with the AI cars to make the race official, like fill the field? So you might have like 5 humans and then 4, AI cars, so you have a field of 9 or whatever. And so the results are in. 108 people voted, and 67% said no, AI is the devil. Yes got 6%, yes, and make it official, and 27% voted yes, but make it unofficial. So what do you guys think? Add AI to official races to fill out the field?
Nah, I don't like that.
No, not to make it official. I say, yeah, sure, throw them in there, so you can still race, but don't make it official.
I think it depends on how good the AI is. I mean, if they race good and it's like racing a human and whatnot, and it's not like they're on railroad tracks, then maybe I'd be okay with it.
I imagine even racing some slightly broken AI would probably be better than racing some of the humans I've raced against in the last couple of weeks in the D series.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Tony, what do you got next?
This is really really cool. John Hammer, friend of the show, is throwing out chassis setups for the Open Series this year. Um, he's oh, I had this all in my head. He says he's not going to make any claims that these chassis will win anything. The intent is to provide something contrary to the fix set. So, um, it'll give you like a solid base if you got some knowledge, and even if you don't have any knowledge, um, it's going to be better than the fix set to go and run these tracks in the Open NIS series.
Yeah, and so far he put up Daytona and Atlanta. So check it out, and you can get a free set from Mr. John Hammer, who's kind of a crew chief aficionado, I should say. So pretty cool, John. John also laid another tidbit in the forums that I thought was interesting regarding he was involved in the post about the 24-hour server problems at the start of the race, and he reminds everybody about the Q bar. You know how you look at your ping and your connection and stuff, and you have the one that's the Q? He says if it's on the left side, you're the problem. If the Q bar is on the right side, iRacing is the problem. So in a very simple language interpretation, he tells you what that Q bar means. And I think I had forgotten that before he said that.
Yeah, I'd either forgotten about it or just plain out didn't know, and I'm probably gonna go with the latter. But this makes it very clear, black and white.
Yeah, so if you're having a connection problem, look at that Q bar. If it's on the left, it's you. If it's on the right, it's iRacing. And apparently, from what I understand on the post, all the server problems were on the left for most people on this last race on Saturday. Which indicates, I don't know, that means it would not be a server issue that caused the problems, but I don't get it. I still don't understand exactly what happened.
Well, if everybody had, a lot of the mass people had issues, it sounds like it was a network problem going into maybe iRacing server base.
Well, I was just gonna, yeah, say something along the same lines. It'd be interesting to see the percentage of people that were affected by that. That would really tell a good tale, I think.
Yep. All right, next topic I got is a long reoccurring topic that we've had on this podcast for many, many, many months. And it is a problem with the spotter disappearing, typically in a team environment. And David Tucker finally posted up that he has found the issue. He said this is what it is. Basically, if you're out of the car and the replay is not playing at a normal speed and the spotter tries to make noise, that's when we fail to notice the sample did not play and get stuck waiting for it to finish. So that's what triggers it. You're in a session and you're running the replay at something besides normal speed, like you paused it or you're going fast forward or slow motion or something like that. And the spotter has to talk, and that's what breaks it. And from that point on, you don't have a spotter. So if you want to avoid the problem, you don't change the speed on the replay. He is working on a fix to go out in the next maintenance build to get it fixed, though. All right, Will?
All right, we got a forum post here from Dustin McGrew asking for basically his wish list for the next 24 hours of Daytona. First on the list, we have day-to-night transitions, which, to be honest, it looks like we should have by next year as long as everything stays on track. One of the second post was, or the second item was actually a really well thought out, is weather synced to real-world conditions. So basically, if it's 45 degrees and foggy at Daytona in real life, make it the same in the sim, which that would be, honestly, in my opinion, a great feature across the board. 3, we have cautions. I'm not really sure how that would work. And the poster, he said if you have X number of incidents within a certain time frame, throw a caution. I think that's just a way to artificially make the race exciting. I don't think we need that. 4, have more than one race session. Stagger them a few hours apart, which I'm definitely a fan of, especially when there are issues with the service. An option for body damage repair. And I actually, after our run, I definitely think that's would be much needed, especially because it doesn't take much damage to really affect that car negatively, especially at Daytona with those high speeds. Number 6 on his list was an incident limit. So if anyone's cutting any corners on purpose, kind of weed those people out of the crowd. Better quality voice chat.
I don't know if that's a problem.
Well, honestly, I don't think so either. In fact, to be honest, we usually are in team speak, and we were the whole race. Pretty much all 24 hours of our session were just people, to be honest, just talking the whole time. I turned them off.
Yeah, we had to mute them.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. A lot going on there. A way to spectate and drive at the same time. I don't really understand the purpose of that. Looks like it's an idea for people who stream. Number 9, more LEDs on the cars. Some of those cars do have some pretty neat looking lighting effects to them, but I don't think that's really a priority. And there wasn't anything for number 10 or 11. So
yeah, I don't like all these ideas. I think I like obviously the day to night transition, the weather sync. The full course caution is very intriguing. I mean, we have those in real life, so why can't we have them in the sim? Maybe if somebody is stopped on track for X amount of seconds, the full course comes out, or maybe it only comes out if somebody actually tows.
Yeah, the way he made it worded sounded like they were trying to artificially make the racing more, kind of have those NASCAR cautions where it bunches the field back up. I think if it was done right, it would be cool. If, say, we could actually lose our body parts on track. Or, you're right, if a couple cars pile up and we have to do, maybe 2 or 3 cars have to tow. Maybe do something of that nature.
Right.
I just feel like it would have to be a system that shouldn't be able to be exploited. I think that would be my biggest fear, is people taking advantage of that to make up time or laps.
All right. What do you guys think? Any other ideas for the wish list for a 24-hour race?
On the weather, I don't do a whole lot of official racing anymore, but I've seen people say stuff about weather. Oh, we need rain, we need this. I'm just worried some people can't drive when it's dry out there, and then you can put them on a wet track and let them go. I'm kind of glad this is just a sim sometimes.
I was reading through this there, and the replacing the body panels. I thought that one was kind of neat, and a couple of posters had kind of elaborated on it because they can, they do it in real life. Now I've never even watched the real life 24 Hours of Daytona, so I don't know a whole lot going in, but and I guess it doesn't take that long to replace a couple of panels, and they can do it. But if you're, say you could do it once or twice throughout the 24 hours, I think that might be a neat thing just to kind of save you a little bit, right?
Right. An opportunity to get the car back up to the original speed. Because, like Will was saying, once you're wrecked, you're always slow for the rest of the race, no matter what.
They have the performance wrong on the Ferrari, so it was already at a disadvantage.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into hardware software. I'll pick up the first one. There was a guy, Emil Anderson from Scandinavia, posted in the forums. He's designed a Lego paddle shifter out of Legos, and he posted up a forum post about it with some pictures of exactly how he built it and what it looks like. And he uses magnets to make it work, and it's pretty ingenious. And as you scroll down, you can actually see where he mounted it to his actual wheel, and he's using it, for real on his wheel, a Lego shifter.
Yeah, I saw this. I was like, I just saw the picture there. I'm like, how is this gonna work? And then the video, and I'm like, oh damn, this guy's a genius. So easy. Like it's really simple. That roller switch he uses, it's like, a $2 or $3 part and a couple of magnets. Bam, you're done.
Yeah,
I
I was thinking it would fall apart if you start clicking on it, but it doesn't.
I just think it's funny he's using Legos on the direct drive wheel. I mean, for the shifter. I mean, it's a cool idea, and you do what you got to do to make yourself, more comfortable and realism in it. But it's
Yeah.
such a simple, cheap fix on such a high dollar product.
I have like a little furniture stopper jammed into my brake pedal, so I can't really talk much. But his trick with the really terrible Thrustmaster pedals, I think there's a $10 do-it-yourself mod that you can look up on YouTube where they basically use a couple furniture stoppers to give you a little bit more feeling in the pedal. I didn't quite go the same way they did, but something similar, and it helps a ton because it gives you brake pressure. You'll get down halfway through the brakes, and then that rubber will give you that brake pressure that kind of. It's better than just the crappy default pedal, I guess.
Right.
I use a wood clamp, just a cheap, $10 wood clamp, and I clamp it to my keyboard tray to help keep it solid, and that's where I mount my wheel. Well, that wood clamp also doubles as a holder for my button box. Yeah, it's the best I can do because I'm too cheap to go buy an Obuto rig like what Mike has.
Yeah, I bet you could probably find plenty of iRacers that have something rigged up kind of funky. I don't even want to talk about my steering wheel stand.
Let me guess, what, a TV tray, like a...
Close. It's a TV stand with a 2x4 jammed in it and a piece of plywood on top. And it works great, actually.
All right.
As long as you're comfortable, man. Yeah, no, people make some creative stuff. So as long as you're happy with it and feel comfortable driving, that's all that really matters.
Okay, Tony, you got final topic.
Okay, so this one, actually, one of our listeners and a fellow Canadian reached out to me and um, give us, some good props on. He likes our podcast and says we're doing a good job. His name's Clay Wagner. Well, he also sent me some information um, on how to fix the Logitech G27. I looked through the post there, and it seemed like a lot of people were having issues with the optical encoder, kind of crapping out. I guess it's made of plastic. Well, there's a company out there, and they make um, a replacement piece out of brass, really solid, and they also, and I'm trying to find the name of the company that does it.
Yeah, it's cmlaserservice.com. And if you go to that website, you can find that brass encoder and order it.
Yeah, as well as he sent a link, ifixit.com. I guess you can just search the Logitech G27 optical encoder replacement, and there is a really well laid out step-by-step instructions, start to finish, on how to break the wheel down and get to that encoder piece and get it all fixed up.
Yep. And I think that's one of the pieces that breaks when the wheel breaks, because like you said, it's plastic and whatnot. So you can buy this piece and get it fixed. And man, I was thinking about this, and I still have my original wheel when I started iRacing. It's a G27. And if it broke, I was thinking, would I take this thing apart and fix it? I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just buy a different wheel, because I know it's already got a lot of use and a lot of laps on it, and I'm not sure I would go to fix it. But a lot of people are like that. So
Yeah, well, I mean that G27's been out for so long now. Um, maybe, well, hell, if it was like me, I wouldn't really want to upgrade. Maybe, and pretty cheap fix. Takes a little bit of time, but the steps, like I said, this guide is awesome. Just walks you absolutely right through. It just holds your hand through the whole process. So other than a little bit of time, the difficulty levels with that guide is should be pretty low.
yep.
So that was awesome, and thank you, Clay Wagner, for reaching out to me and passing up this information. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how we're getting topic ideas from the listeners, and it seems like that's happening every week now. So, hey, if you're listening out there and you have a topic idea, you can reach out to anybody on the podcast, and we'll put it on the show, guys. All right, that's it. Let's get into final thoughts. Chris Perez, you're up first. What do you got?
Ah, it was just a lot of fun with the 24-hour race, being and hanging out with you guys. I mean, that's all I really had to talk about, is just, helping you guys out. Being around you guys seemed like a pretty cool bunch, so I was just happy to be there.
Yeah, and it was fun racing with you, Chris, in the 24-hour. Me and you were trading off, and boy, I got stuffed in the wall there, and you were very supportive and just got in the car and drove it, and actually you weren't too far off pace actually, once, even though it was wrecked up. But yeah, great job.
Yeah, that was a great job on everybody's part there.
Yep. All right, William Gibson, what do you got?
Definitely had a good time during that 24-hour race. Definitely looking forward to doing that again next year. But now it's pretty much, we're in the home stretch of the off season, and NIS is starting up, and just kind of getting excited for that. I've been putting a lot of effort into playing with setups. I plan on working a lot with David Flowers, kind of get him up to speed during the year. And yeah, I'm excited for this season, and we're so close now. It seemed like not that long ago the season ended, so just getting ready for that new season.
Yeah, we really have a good group of guys for NIS here. It's going to be fun. Tony Groves, what do you got?
Well, um, I've I at least stopped for one race. My streak of getting beat up out on the track. It's always my fault because I'm. But I run a race at Iowa in the C-Fix trucks, and I wasn't obviously the fastest out there, but I kept it nice and clean, and I was able to get through the about half the field. I finished. I was working on a top 10 finish. I needed a couple more laps to be able to get that done, but it was so nice to finally walk out of a race without losing a ton of IR and a ton of SR, and so that really helped. And I also jumped into the street stock dirt car for the first time since they've fixed it up, and I wouldn't run a race with that car because I was just all over the place and had a really hard time keeping a handle on it. Well, this new fix, for someone like me, what a blessing. I mean, I was able to run high, I was able to run low, and I was able to choose when I did that. I had a blast, and the last few laps of the race, I was actually keeping pace with the leader. So had I not got into first couple lap shenanigans, that could have turned out to be a really good race. But looking forward to doing some more of that, and obviously that's going to probably fill a lot of my time till this NIS season kicks off.
Yeah. Yeah, I also enjoyed the dirt oval this last week. I ran probably 4 times the dirt street stock. And like you, it's a night and day difference from what it used to be. You can actually drive the car and control it. And I had some fun running linear dirt. I don't think I ran great, but it was fun, and I think I'm getting better. And I think I will continue to run that as well.
Well, what I really liked about that is now the car moves a lot slower, and a lot of people were complaining about it. But for someone like me, I don't have any experience on a dirt track or really in dirt cars, so it slows my feet down, it slows my hands down, and now I can actually concentrate and figure out what I'm doing and what I'm doing with my feet and hands and what it's doing to the car. And I can process it a lot better. So as you move up in different classes of cars, um, great starter, great rookie. The changes were phenomenal.
Yeah, it's truly a rookie car now, and it wasn't a rookie car before. All right, very good, Tony. My final thoughts, 24-hour race is over. I'm not sure why we picked the Ferrari. I was talking to the team earlier today about it. You can't race for the overall win if you're in a slower class of car. And so I always want to run in the fastest class there is. So at least I have an opportunity for an overall win. So I just don't understand. I guess I'm not a road guy, but I just don't understand the allure of picking, a GT3 car over something else. But that's what the team picked. We ran it. We did pretty good. It wasn't great. We finished. That's something to be said. And boy, I'm ready for NASCAR. This A car is a handful, as I pointed out today in the Dover practice. This season is going to be tough with this new car. And so, boy, get your practice in, guys. It's going to be rough out there. And I think that's it. So if you want to give us feedback or topic ideas, hit us up on Facebook. And with that, we'll see you later. Thank you for listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast. Make sure to go subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play, Facebook, and Twitter. See you on the track.